right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today for this week of my podcast for episode 46 for December the 17th. Podcast show is Surviving Your Journey Towards Success. My name is Nichel Anderson. I'm your host. Thank you so much again. Let's go ahead and get started where we have another week in my Tell It in 5 where I hone on 5 takeaways based on the topic that I'm focused on for that week. So thank you so much for joining me. This title for this week episode is Self-Motivation is the Key to Get It Done. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into it. And basically in this day, I am thankful to the prime creator of all things, that I give thanks for this blessing and opportunity that I will use it for the greater good. So welcome my survivors of the journey to my podcast that aims to inspire and motivate that you will continue to have joy, peace of mind, and for your sustained success. So in this particular episode about self-motivation is the key to get it done, let's look at my 5 takeaways. Okay, the first one, number 1, you have to be creative when your downs take hold and procrastination enters. That equals to self-motivation, right? To self-motivate you that you move on. And when you're creative in the ways that you identify the triggers that make you think less of yourself, that you can get it done, that's when you have to pull out some type of phrase, some type of memory. You know, sometimes people use music and so forth, which could be great in that sense. It depends on the level of how you're feeling. If you're really depressed, to me, no music but nature. And that could be the sounds of the water. Okay, so you want to keep the sounds and the audio and you want to keep your vibration in a way that you're lifting yourself up. You don't want any other content or any other person, in a sense, when you're at that level, to interfere and mess up and say the wrong thing, or maybe the music or whatever, you're thinking it's okay but you don't really understand, and it's making you feel even more depressed. So I like to keep it clean. It's just like when you go to a hospital and the person is very sick, you notice that they keep everything sanitized. Everything is clear, basics that you need, that the doctor needs to be able to help you to get well, and everything is in the orderly way that is only focusing on your wellness, so they don't bring anything in that can contaminate it to get you better. So what I'm trying to say is that I like to keep things when you're really, really low, and it has continued to be so. You got to go old school, but you got to go to the best school, and that way that you focus in a sense that you don't have any other element that can tarnish that. So music, some people like to do that. Only thing I would like to say with that, I wouldn't put no songs, no lyrics, nothing. I would keep it clean. You could, if you want to have some type of element of sounds, let it be nature, because nature is nurturing. Okay, Mother Nature. Okay, that's the symbolic that I see that as, nurturing you, giving you the ingredients that you need for you to come back up as as a success, and with how you view, how you think about yourself or whatever that's going on in your life. And I always found that most people love the sound of the sea, of the ocean. You know why? Because in the rooms of the mother, that I think, and I'm kind of going into this before I jump into my 5s, but I want to share this, is that I feel that the child hears the sounds of what a water would be based on how the baby is in that inside the room and surrounded by that liquid. And to me, liquid is water. And even in the adulthood or what have you, when you talk to people, they love to be around the beach, or just the sound of the waves, it makes them calm down. And when you get in that low place and you don't think you can do it, and you get depressed and you want to go back and do the bad things or what have you, that perhaps that you thought at that time that it helps and solve the issue, but of course it creates more issue. So to avoid backtracking and going forward, you have to be creative. So that means you have to change your diet. That means you have to exercise. Basically, you have to get busy. And when you have to get busy in that sense, you also have to be still enough. Take 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, if you want to play the sounds, you can say sounds of birds chirping. You wanted something that's natural, that is in the nature element, that was only honing on for you to go back to the beginning of time in the sense of your existence, and to keep you nourishing in that room, as we like to say. Okay, so number 2 is when your resources are low or non-existent. Self-motivation is key to get it done in a new way. So number 1's base was focusing on doing the things that are nourishing you to get in a way that you're feeling more better and you're not distracted. So that's why I was talking about the whole different things you can do to get to the core of that. Number 2, when I'm talking about your resources, when your resources are low and not existent, so you have to self-motivate yourself that even though you don't see it, doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It only encourages you, if you look at it on the positive side, to come up with new ways in order to get the resources that you need. Now that means that you wanted option A and you can't get option A, then you try option C. You notice I didn't say option B. Sometimes you might go to another option M, to be able to get to where you need to go. And so when it's non-existent, it doesn't mean it will never happen. It just means as right now, it has not came into fruition. Sometimes the longer that you haven't received it requires you to self-motivate yourself when other people stop motivating you and move on. So you don't want to get it done. No, on the contrary, you do it anyway. If you look back in history of the people that we admire, they had a lot of obstacles. Not everybody had everything on the table, but they kept going to get it done. They had to self-motivate themselves. Nobody was around people, oh, you could do it. Yeah, I believe in you. Keep doing it. They was doing that 24/7. They was home in bed doing, going to sleep, doing their own thing. Okay? That's why self-motivation is key when no one's around. And when you get depressed about something or this, that's where the self-motivation is, to bring it up. And sometimes you have to go deep, as I said earlier in number 1, and eliminate all the distractions around you or the things that bring in the negativity and focus on the positivity. Number 3. Spending time around positive people helps to reinforce your self-motivation to do and not sit out. So when you're around positive people, guess what? They feed you back. And when you're around positive people, they help you come up with new ideas. See, that's the key. Number 4, one of the best self-motivators is spending time with the real you and to say, I love you. Any way that brings to balance, because sometimes it's hard for people to say that they love themselves because they don't like themselves. Self-motivator or being self-motivated helps you to say that, because when nobody else says it and you feel like nobody don't like me, you say it yourself. You are giving yourself nourishment and you're feeding your value. With low value produces low self-esteem. Number 5, another self-motivator is be willing to cry it out, scream it out, talk to self of power, upward and not downward, allows you to move forward and win it. Okay? To win it all. Thank you. Thank you again for joining me for my podcast episode for my podcast show, Surviving Your Journey to Success. Just to give you some information to not only stay in contact, but with the other things that I offer. I provide career consultation, offering the first 30 minutes are free. Thereafter, there is a fee excess afterwards per hour and can be discussed on a case-by-case basis, depending on your need. So if it is an emergency and you need some consultation regarding your career or choices that you're about to make moving forward, in a sense, in your personal type objectives, then you can definitely contact me. The primary way to contact me is by email, which is info@nichelanderson.com. Now, I do have a toll-free number on my website. Now, that is actually only for webinars, when I'm doing like a free webinar and you're calling in. Once that number is through that medium, and it's only really for that, so it's not really connected to me directly. Now I am working on that, but for right now it's not really, and when that changes, you would definitely get a notice of that to go forward. So Just to recap, my primary way is info@nichelanderson.com. All right, so the other thing I want to share with you is that I also provide business courses and self-improvement courses. So that overall objective is to help you to create strategies that work for you, to get you motivated, to identify the ways to get your or keep your joy and your mental peace. So I do provide that on the basis of your objective to gain success, and as I like to say, sustain success. You can find information on my courses that I release on my official website, which is www.nichelanderson.com, and you can go there and you can look at the different courses that I am releasing that are available. These courses are self-paced. They will be identified if they're considered to be like live sessions on a regular basis, but for the most part they are self-paced. During that time I do have live sessions that once you have signed up for the course, you will see that in the schedule of what days that I'm available live, that you can talk to me and we can go over the courses going forward, right, on those particular topics. So that information is basically on my website that you can go to, which is nichelanderson.com. Now, I want to do a special call out for listeners that I have seen in my stats that are following me, to continue to follow me, which I am thankful for. Now, to get connected more, to stay connected, I'm asking you to consider to join my newsletter that I do send out. And to do that, you just have to submit, of course, your name and your email. I don't spam. You can always request to be taken off the list. I don't send thousands of emails because I don't like thousands of emails from a particular source. So I keep it very in a way that's informative, of course, because obviously you like the content because you hear and you enjoy it and you're getting something from it, which pleases me. To expand that and to move forward and to get into other ways that I can expand what I'm trying to do is to form a newsletter, to get that set up in the sense that I'm communicating that I can send that out more quickly, actually, through a podcast or any type of thing or production that I'm doing, where a newsletter is more, in the sense, faster to get that contact and to send it out on blast, right? And more opportunity to send more content compared to like social media characters to be able to get that message out. So do consider that to join my newsletter by providing, and you can find that link at the end of each episode. I have that link to basically to sign up here for Nichel E-List Tips newsletter. And you could do that and you can see that and click, and it's a short form, online form. It is secured and you can complete that. All right, the other thing I want to talk about is basically to subscribe to this podcast. If you haven't, please go ahead. Of course, this is going through Podbeam. I have 2 podcasts. This one, of course, you're listening to is Surviving Your Journey to Success, and you can subscribe. Of course, you should see the subscribe button here at the bottom of this episode or at the top, whichever device that you're using. Now, I'm also available on iHeartRadio, on Spotify, on Google Play, on iTunes, and any other podcast directories for feed distribution. You can connect that way and subscribe, and if you like it, share it. Now, I am on social media, and so you do hear me a lot talk about Twitter. I'm mostly active on Twitter. I'm also active on Facebook. For the most part right now is Twitter, and I like the whole concept of keeping it short and sweet, but I'm connecting to people in different parts of the world. And then Facebook, I'm definitely on there as well, and you can connect me with that. So my Twitter handle is basically twitter.com/Nichel Anderson. My Facebook page, facebook.com/Nichel Anderson fan page. My official website, as I mentioned earlier, is nichelanderson.com. That is my official website. It's mainly focusing on self-improvement, motivation, life coaching, leadership courses, things that I really love to help people, what I have learned, and also to connect and to try to create the content in a way that you can feel comfortable about it, open up about the areas where you're struggling at, and it's usually pretty much our career and our personal life. So these self-paced courses give you the opportunity to really think things out, because you got to think about it. In this world, our mind has to be able to process so many things in so little time. And so you're here, you're there, you're everywhere, and you don't really get the opportunity to stop, to think, to react in a way that moves you forward, and to get things done, to get a blueprint. And that's basically the two courses that I recently released, and I will continue to evolve from that and add more courses, of course, or redo some of the courses that I have. And Blueprint for Success is a very good one in the sense of identifying that and moving to a point that you have a plan and that you can move forward. And that's the key. So at any rate, check that out on my official website, and definitely connect with that and share it with somebody else. Now, the other thing I would like to share with you is that, of course, I am an author. And so my very first book that I got published, that I was called to do, it was my purpose, and I see it now. And it's a part of my whole podcast show title. It's called Corporate America: Surviving Your Journey Toward Success. It is available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. It's available in book form and ebook. Okay. Identify your purpose, identify your reason, struggles, and move forward, and it will get you to your meant to be. It will get you to the blessings that will come to you if you stay on focus and stay on the journey. In my closing, I want to say thank you again for joining me today. Here is my closing statement for you. Be you that strengthens and inspires your ability to be strong in your journey endeavor. It's a good thing towards your mental peace and joy, always to your success.